Hey, hello everyone. Okay, we've got a little intro video to play for you, and then we're going to get started. This didn't work so well last time, so let's see if it does now. Let's see, take it away.
It's on Google.
No, it is right though.
Businessofapps.com.
Maybe you can let me know in the chat. Yeah, please say hi, where you're from. So who have we got here? Hi, Rowena, Tala, Evie, Rizwan was here earlier, Emily, Joe in Dubai, Emily's in London, where it's definitely, yeah, it's raining. We've got another David in London, Art in Toronto, Paul, hi from Birmingham, UK, Matt Jones in Manchester. So Paul, yeah, we will have a recording for you. Guy is in London, a lot of UK people here. So please say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're from. George in Munich, welcome, George. So we are going to a couple of minutes of housekeeping. Hope you managed to see the video. For some reason, the sound didn't work last time. Hopefully we got that fixed. Let me know if you heard that okay. We're very proud of our Logan Paul shout out. Hi, Evie. We've got, yeah, a bit of housekeeping. So Crowdcast, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but we've got a little tab here for chat. Hopefully you found that. Please say hi. We've got a tab here for Q&A, and then below the little question box. If you have any questions during the session, chuck them in there, and Niraj is going to be able to answer it. He is a VP of product over at Recurly. Great chance to ask someone like that a question about subscriptions and app subscriptions. So if you leave that in the Q&A, then we can answer that at the end. There's a little button below, a poll button, a little graph thing. Some of you found that already. We're asking you, a question around your challenges for app subscription. So please take a look at that. Niraj will be calling that out later as well. And yeah, I think that's it for me. We're kind of ready to go. So I'm going to bring Niraj down here. Here he is. Hi, Niraj.
Hello, how are you? Thank you.
Good. Well, welcome to Business of Apps Live. I'm going to bring down your presentation. There it is. And well, yeah, great to have you here. Great to have a VP of product live on stage and here ready to talk to us about this really interesting topic. We just ran a really good event on this over in San Francisco, App Promotion Summit, subscription app strategies. And it's really exciting area of growth right now in the market. So really pleased to have you here. I'm going to please everyone give Niraj a big virtual welcome to the stage. And yeah, over to you, Niraj.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Super excited to be here. I will get started. So welcome, everyone. Thanks again for being here today. If you are looking to start selling subscriptions through mobile apps, or you're already selling subscriptions through mobile apps, I think this session is going to be really valuable for you. As the slide says, I'm Niraj Nayak, Vice President of Product Management at Recurly. Recurly, if you don't know, is a subscription billing and management solution. We provide our customers tools and solutions to help them acquire subscribers through various flexible plans and billing models and promotional tools. And then once they acquire those customers, we help retain those customers through voluntary and involuntary churn management solutions. And then we wrap it all together with analytics. So we give our customers a total view into how their subscription businesses are performing. So today we're going to discuss and share what we've been seeing and hearing as it relates to mobile and subscriptions, and talk about some of the critical challenges that we're seeing there. We speak to our subscription merchants often, and some tell us, well, we're doing about maybe 50% of our subscriptions on mobile, or maybe it's 75, maybe it's 90. But that's the rub. It's all an estimate, right? And so what we're noticing more and more as we talk to our customers is that they're really struggling to get precise numbers on how their overall subscription business is performing. And that's what we're going to spend a better part of today talking about. How do you get that sort of view and glimpse? So before we get started, question for you guys, and as we heard earlier, on the right-hand side, there's a place where you can click on a tab there on Crowdcast to answer questions about our poll. So the question is, what is your biggest challenge when reporting on mobile app subscription performance? So this assumes you're already selling subscriptions on mobile. Is it cross-platform visibility? Can you see how your subscriptions are performing across Google, Apple, web, and so on and so forth? Is that a problem? Or is the problem more of a process standpoint where you have to manually pull the data and manipulate it and normalize it? Or is it that you're trying to manage all of your subscription business and plans in one platform, and then all your analytics live in a different platform, and you're having to go back and forth and those sorts of things? So curious to hear what problems you guys are facing when it comes to understanding your subscription performance. Give a couple minutes there. Not a couple, one. So I see some votes coming in, manual data pulling and manipulation. That is very, it aligns really well with the feedback that we get from our customers too. It's the process, it's maintaining these data pipelines, it's the manual manipulation and normalizing it. And so, great to hear, and we'll spend some time today talking about how to solve that challenge. All right, so let's talk about why you should be selling subscriptions on mobile. So if you look at the top left here, we project that the size for subscriptions in general is going to be $1.5 trillion by 2025, which makes a lot of sense. Businesses love selling subscriptions. It helps drive long-term lifetime value, increased lifetime value with your customers. And it provides predictable recurring revenue as well. So there's a lot of benefit for businesses to offer subscriptions, and consumers love subscriptions too, right? So if you imagine back in the world when it was too expensive to buy something, now you can subscribe to it. You don't have to pay those upfront, heavy fees. And now you can just pay on a monthly basis for the products and services you want. So it's giving consumers a lot more access. And then if you design your subscription the right way, consumers are really just paying for what they're consuming. So it wastes a lot of that. It removes a lot of the waste in the economy there, as subscribers are just paying for what they consume. So a lot of benefits on the business side and consumer side for subscriptions. So that's why we see that being a 1.5 trillion market. And then you compare that or look at that against the global app economy, which today is $6.3 trillion. So there's a lot of commerce that's happening through mobile apps. And so when you look at the Venn diagram and look at the overlap between those two sorts of numbers, we believe that consumer spending through subscription could be $139 billion total market when we look at those two different sorts of numbers. And so why do we think we're going to get to that, that $139 billion? Because it makes a lot of sense to sell subscriptions on mobile apps. 88% of most mobile usage is happening on apps. So if you're going to sell subscriptions where your consumers already are. They're already in your app. It's a great channel to promote your subscriptions and sell them there. So we feel like more and more people are going to sell subscriptions through their apps because that's where their consumers are. It makes a lot of sense to sell subscriptions through apps because, secondly, it's a great way to keep your consumer base engaged with you, right? I'm paying a monthly fee on your products and services. I'm clearly an engaged subscriber because I keep paying. And now I'm more open to getting, information from you and staying engaged with you. So that's another reason it makes a lot of sense to sell subscriptions. And then third, as you think about selling subscriptions through mobile, maybe you're selling subscriptions on web, but the more channels that you're selling your subscriptions through, the better. It diversifies your revenue streams. And we at Recurly, we're on the B2B side, but we're constantly looking for channel partners and different sorts of avenues to sell our products and services. So the more channels that you can sell your subscriptions on, the better. So mobile is a great sort of channel, and we're going to just see that grow and grow over time. So great, we've made the argument. You should be selling subscriptions on mobile. Maybe you already are, but there are challenges when you have to do that, especially at scale. And when we talk to our customers, we've got a lot of customers are selling subscriptions, obviously, because that's where we focus. We've got customers who started out as startups with us and have grown into large enterprises. They've IPO'd on our platform as well. So we've got a large breadth of sorts of customers that we can talk to about the challenges they're facing when they're selling subscriptions, not only on web, but on mobile. So really, what are the challenges they're facing when they're selling subscriptions across multiple platforms? And the thing that comes up most often is around analytics. The problem they say is, I have no consolidated view, or I have a really hard time getting a consolidated view on how my entire subscription business is running when I'm selling subscriptions on Apple and web and Google and other billing platforms. And so why is it difficult, right? Why is it so difficult to get that sort of overall view? Well, one, App Store, Apple App Store, Google Play, those are sometimes closed sorts of systems. It's hard to get the data out there. They have reports, you can download those reports, but the real-time tracking requires a lot of development effort and things like that. So that's one thing that limits folks from getting the data that they want in the way they want it. Secondly, even when Apple and Google provide the data, it could be anonymized. They limit access to certain data. It doesn't get as granular as you need to. Sometimes it's reported at a summary level. So those are some pain points. And then imagine you've got definitions for what you think subscriber churn is or what an acquisition rate is, but Apple may think about that differently. Google may think about that differently. When you're running subscriptions through your web, that might, you might think about it differently. So normalizing the definitions for all those things across your different sorts of billing systems is a challenge as well. And so that's the major challenge our customers are facing when it comes to adopting a multi-platform subscription strategy. So makes sense to sell subscriptions on mobile, multiple platforms. Here are the challenges folks are facing. How are they solving these challenges? Depending on the size of the company, we see a lot of customers that are, using manual exports and spreadsheets. And I love my spreadsheets. I love a good VLOOKUP formula. I love creating these small little databases on my local machine with full of spreadsheets. We all love spreadsheets. It's easy to use. It's you can manipulate it the way that you want. And yeah, it's super inexpensive, right? Everyone's got, Google Sheets or Excel running on their laptop. So this is great. And if you're a smaller sort of company, this sort of solution does work really well. If you're not having to manipulate a lot of data. Obviously, as you start getting bigger and bigger, some of these cons start coming into play where it could become error prone. You may need to hire data analysts, which could be expensive, and things like that. So as our customers are getting bigger and bigger and they're growing out of manual exports and spreadsheets, they start looking at third-party integration and analytics tools. So there are analytics tools out there that you can connect all your different billing systems into and then start normalizing how you report on that. So, the pros are these guys know analytics. There's advanced reporting capabilities there, highly customizable. And wide integration potential because you can just push data into these sorts of platforms. And so it's great. So as you're growing and you're scaling, you're starting to sell more subscriptions and you're starting to adopt more and more platforms where you're selling subscriptions, these third-party analytic tools are great. But it can be expensive. If you're managing subscription billing and management in one sort of platform, you've got another analytics platform, so that can become cumbersome and things like that. And then as your business continues to grow and grow and grow, and then you start selling on more and more platforms, and subscriptions start becoming the thing that you're selling and how you are driving most of your revenue. At that point, this is where our customers are like, all right, now we need a full-blown subscription billing and management tool. So Recurly is one, obviously, and we have competitors in the space. So they adopt us for managing their subscriptions. And we're the experts in subscriptions. Our competitors also know subscriptions really well. So they love using our tools to manage these subscriptions. And then what they want to do is integrate, all of their various other billing platforms where they're selling subscriptions into Recurly if they can't sell those subscriptions through Recurly itself. So this is really, really great. And we'll talk about personas in a second, but this is a great solution. Again, if you're in many, many different sorts of channels, and you are looking to consolidate all of your data, consolidate all of your integration into one sort of platform, choosing one of these subscription billing and management platforms that integrate with other platforms is a great sort of solve. And then, some of the cons maybe, like if you're selling, a subscription on a bespoke sort of like platform that maybe the subscription billing and management doesn't, integrate with, that could be some cons. Sometimes there's limits in the type of reporting you get. You still may have to pull out data out of these platforms to manage the data that you want. But overall, they're a great solution for companies that are operating at scale. And when we think about the different personas who need, and you're operating at different, at scale across multiple platforms, web, mobile, so on and so forth. CPOs and CMOs love these pre-integrated subscription management solutions because one, you're managing all of your subscription business in one place. You're getting consolidated view on your analytics. You understand exactly how your entire subscription business is performing, not just for specific channels, but for across all of your platforms. From a CMO perspective, when you're using a subscription billing management platform that integrates with other platforms, it turns into a little bit of your customer database. So you've got customer views, which subscriptions and which platforms they're selling these subscriptions on. And you can launch marketing campaigns to these folks and so on and so forth. So it's really powerful when you start aggregating all this in, doing real-time tracking across these subscribers. CTOs love these solutions because it is build one single integration instead of a bunch of different integrations. So I can build just an integration in the subscription management tool, all my analytics stuck in there. I can, manage my cross-platform entitlements across the different platforms. So if someone buys a subscription on Apple, or they buy it on Google, and then they want to access, services on a different platform, you can just ask these subscription billing platforms if the subscriber has an active paid subscription, yes or no. CFOs love these sorts of solutions as well because, again, it aggregates all their financial data into one platform. And it becomes less of a nightmare from a revenue recognition standpoint. As you're creating your revenue recognition rules for your different subscriptions, you can just set them once in one platform, and then all the data flows in from Apple, from Google, from other billing systems, from web, through this revenue recognition sort of flow. And there's not a lot of manual work to do revenue recognition by platform, by platform, by platform. So these are really great tools. And so now the shameless plug, Recurly, we are a subscription billing and management platform. We provide solutions around app management where you can use Recurly to launch your plans and, as I was saying, drive acquisition, drive retention, churn management, all those sorts of things. And now through Recurly, you can also start integrating directly into Apple and Google, bringing that data in, bringing that customer data in, understanding when your customers are renewing, when they are, what subscriptions they've subscribed to, when they're renewing, when they're canceling, when they're expired, when they've gone past due, and all those sorts of things you can see in one single tool. And you can just listen to this tool, you get the webhook notifications on all those life cycle events, and run different marketing campaigns, win-back campaigns, or what have you through a single platform. And then you get the cross-channel analytics, as we've been talking about a lot. And then lastly, that entitlement sort of management where, again, you've got folks that are buying subscriptions all over the place. They're logging into all different sorts of platforms that access those services. How can you easily tell whether they have an active paid subscription and they're entitled to access to those products and services? You can do that through one sort of platform, Recurly. So again, as you are, the title of this is scaling from web to mobile. So as you are scaling, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and again, subscriptions are going to be your source of revenue and the way you drive revenue for your business. And it's time to really think more deeply about how you run subscriptions. We think subscription management tools that integrate well with other platforms is the way to go. So that's all I had on the content here. I think we can turn it back, and I think we've got some Q&A lined up, and we can talk maybe more just about generally subscriptions and the challenges and benefits to adopting a subscription strategy.
Great, thanks, Neeraj. Yeah, so let's do some Q&A. It was a great teeing this up. But yeah, we've got a couple of questions. So if you do have any more questions, leave them in the questions tab here. So Emily is asking, what is the impact? You showed the big sort of growth figures there. Everyone likes a big hockey stick growth at the moment, especially at the moment. But what impact is you seeing? And you must have a lot of view into the market, in terms of inflation or cost of living, we're calling it here. Everyone's got less money compared to a couple of years ago. So what impact is that having on demand for subscription products?
Yeah, so great question, Emily. And it is a concern across our customer base as far as how do we manage churn, especially voluntary churn, as purses get tighter and people are starting to well, do I really need this subscription? Do I not? I think it's really important to provide the right sorts of promotions to retain those customers, right? So think about pausing a subscription. When someone clicks the cancel button, offer them the opportunity to pause a subscription for a little bit and say, hey, we get that maybe you don't need our services now. Why don't you take a little break, and in 3 months come back and we can restart again. So that's a great retention tool. During COVID, we ran a case study on our customers using our pause functionality to retain customers, and there was and it was highly effective. So I encourage you to go find that report. There's other things you can do too, as far as cancellation flows. When someone clicks cancels, you can offer them a promotion or discount to stay, offer them an upgrade or downgrade path to stay. So there is going to be obviously folks that are, as going to be impact, and people are going to want to start unsubscribing. But making sure you have the right retention strategies in place becomes really important.
Okay, great. That's a good tip. And Anonymous is asking, are you seeing more growth on mobile or apps versus the web or other channels, I guess? And has that been affected by, the big thing we're all dealing with, Apple privacy changes?
Yeah, I don't have the specific numbers on growth of subscriptions on mobile versus web, but I will say from anecdotal sort of perspective, more and more of our customers are coming to us and saying, hey, we're going to start selling subscriptions on mobile. So we are seeing more and more of that interest, which is why we've got these solutions in place to help them. Secondarily, the changes in the policies for Apple and Google are definitely getting people more interested in selling subscriptions on Apple and Google. Avoiding those fees is a big deal. But at the same time, I also want to say, I know the privacy changes are changing and those sorts of things, but there are a lot of benefits to selling subscriptions through Apple and Google directly through their payment rails. From a taxation standpoint, compliance standpoint, and those sorts of things. So I don't feel like everyone is just trying to push everyone off Apple and Google onto web. I think people are also okay just selling subscriptions directly through Apple and Google because of the benefits they get through Apple and Google. But net subscriptions are growing. If you download our status subscriptions report at our website, you'll see that our customers are growing, I think 20% year over year still, and that's both on web and mobile.
Okay, that's good to hear. All right, growth is what we like. Okay, we've got another question here from Guy Little. Not sure where you're from, Guy, but do you do any analysis of the monetization of subscriptions, specifically looking at whether those sort of free, premium, and paid subscriptions, is the feeling that free models generate wider reach and better sub outcomes? Okay, so I guess he's asking about the sort of freemium, hard paywall versus soft, I guess.
Yeah, so, again, if you download, we've got a couple of State of the Subscriptions reports out there. One where we looked across our entire merchant base, our customer base, to see what they were doing from a promotion perspective, free trial perspective. Also what consumers' expectations are around that. We found that 78% of consumers think a free trial is important to a good subscriber experience. So that was a really interesting takeaway. And then 75% of the consumers we surveyed said they'd be more willing to subscribe if a free trial was offered. And then based on the data that we're seeing with our customers, a 7-day free trial was seen as the most effective. I think there was a 40% conversion rate there. So absolutely, we think the freemium models work really, really well. And so if you're going to sell subscriptions, a freemium model is definitely something worth considering. And then there's other sorts of things that you can do as well. Apple and Google do a good job about this. Most subscription billing and management do this well as well, but offering promotional offers, right? So maybe you get a discounted fee for the first few billing periods, and then the price automatically ramps up to a standard price, or you just provide a standard discount at 20% to acquire customers. And the other thing too to consider too is loyalty discounts, right? So maybe you're not giving a services free at the start or a discounted at the start, but hey, if you sign up for a year, it's cheaper for you. Or you pay a standard rate for the first 6 months, and then your price goes down after the 6th month. Those are also things to consider when you're trying to acquire customers. Our loyalty discounts on the back end of the subscription as well.
Okay, great. Thanks, Guy. Good question. All right, so any more, just drop them in there. I've got a couple as well. So are there any specific niches or types of audience where subscription model would work or be viable?
Yeah, so when we look at our customer base, the types of content or features that are really successful from a subscription business, we've got a lot of customers who are in digital media streaming services, digital media publishers, education, health and fitness, consumer goods, and SaaS as well, so B2B. And the one thing that the couple things that these verticals all have in common is they're offering content that can be fresh, fresh content. So you think about digital, the media publishers, they're publishing fresh content that attracts you to log in on a weekly basis, daily basis to see what's going on. You think about streaming services, fresh content on net news shows or relaunching old shows. That we've seen a lot of success with that. If you're in education, online courses, right? Like, hey, this is a year-long course. Why don't you subscribe? And that drives a lot of so if you've got content around that. So think about fresh content that keeps bringing you back. That's really ideal for subscriptions. And then I think if you're providing necessary services, right? So you think about Microsoft Office, I have to keep paying, monthly fee in order to access my spreadsheets. Or in the consumer goods space, right? I have to keep paying farmer's dog so I can keep feeding my dog on a monthly basis. So if you're providing necessities or staple sort of goods, that's a great model for subscription businesses. And if you're providing fresh content, engaging content on a regular basis, that is also ideal for subscription businesses. And so the challenge, I think, is if you're not providing some of those products and services out of the box, how can you think out of the box, think about net new products and services you may want to offer that drive that sort of like reoccurring engagement that would, foster a subscription really well. I think that that's the challenge that you would have.
Right, so wide range of verticals and audiences this could work for. And in terms of what sort of content or features, would count as something premium, you touched on a couple of ideas there. It's got to be something people value, something that's attractive. Is there any other tips for sort of bundling stuff in to make it compelling as a subscription?
Yeah. So again, so the fresh content, the freshness of that. We see a lot of customers too, like as part of their subscription package, also one-time sorts of events, right? So again, we talked about like when you've got a subscriber, you have an engaged customer base who is actively consuming your services on a frequent basis. Having little add-ons that you come in, one-time purchases, so premium content, hey, go download this movie or this show, or go, download this content on some sort of like special sort of like thing that we've done. Those are opportunities too to drive further engagement. So these little ad hoc little one-time purchases that you offer in conjunction with the subscription, or box of the month, like, hey, add this dog toy to your box next month, or what have you. Those are great opportunities to drive more revenue through your subscriptions.
Got it. Okay. And what about pricing and packaging? So, what's a good price point for a subscription on app or mobile?
Yeah, I wish I had the easy button for that and could just tell you it should be $5.99 a month. But the takeaway here is you have to test. Price testing is super important when you're trying to figure out what the right price is. Similarly, testing the right different plans, the right products and services that you're including in those plans. There's a lot of testing that you have to do. So with that, it becomes really important that you're using the right tools to help you run those tests quickly. So I want to deploy a plan with different price points really quickly in a certain market, or deploy a bunch of different plans with different products and services, or deploy a plan and offer different discounts to see what's working. But then what's really important is making sure whatever tools and solutions you're using, also the analytics to show you which of those tests is performing really well. So then you can go action that. Okay, it's this plan, this price, this product that's really driving acquisition for us, and that's what I want to go to work with. Apple and Google have a lot of like A/B testing solutions, subscription billing and management solutions have a lot of support in that area as well.
So it's quite unique depending on the audience, the offer. I mean, are there any sort of general rules where you should have 3 tiers and have a 40% jump between? Sometimes people say have one that's really expensive just to make the others look cheap, or does it really vary too much to sort of have that?
It does vary, but if we look across our customer base, it's usually 3 to 4 plans is what they're offering, and there's that golden rule where like folks usually gravitate to that middle plan. But again, I can't emphasize the importance of having the patience and the time to do proper A/B testing to ensure you're maximizing the revenue the right way.
Right. Okay. We had looks like a couple more people have been joining us. If you do want to ask a question, just hit the question box. Hi, Pia in Athens joined us. I also dropped in the report link you were mentioning, the Neeraj, the date of subscriptions. It looks like it's got some good data in it. That's in the chat. So in terms of what about platforms? So it's would you say start off on Apple and then do Google Play and look at selling on the web, or?
Yeah, so what platforms? It depends on the products and services you're offering. I would say it's very easy to launch a subscription on Apple and Google, but if you're not providing products and services that would be consumed through your mobile app, you may not get a lot of traction or acquisition through that channel, in which case then you should focus on web. So if you've got products and services that are good to be consumed on web and Apple and Google, I would encourage you should be selling subscriptions across all those platforms. Because again, there's so many benefits to subscriptions from a lifetime value perspective, consumer preference perspective, and things like that. So.
Great. And in terms of the sort of payment gateways and services, again, would you sort of mainly use the sort of native billing and the app stores? Is there anything else that you should look at?
Yeah, so if you're bound by the terms and services of Apple and Google, you don't have a lot of flexibility there. You just have to sell your subscriptions through the Apple and Google payment rails, which can be expensive, but at the same time, as I was saying before, there's a lot of benefit. It's very frictionless to buy subscriptions through Apple and Google. If you're operating in multiple geographies, Apple and Google take a lot of that international compliance complexity out. They handle that for you. So sometimes it justifies those high fees. But if you're not bound by the terms and services of Google and Apple, and you're free to use your own payment rails, there's tons of different gateway processors and payment providers there. So I think, when you think about your strategy for which gateway and which payment processor you're going to use, one is to think deeply about the types of payment methods you want to offer. So here in the US, we all love our credit cards, and then those work really well. But if you're operating in multiple geographies, there's different direct debit methods payment methods are really popular in different countries. Here in the US, we're seeing a lot more adoption of PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Amazon Pay, all these digital wallets. In South America, there's different digital wallets that are becoming more and more popular. So understanding what your payment strategy is going to be and what payment methods you want to provide to your consumers, which is really important, because offering the wrong sorts of payment methods, we do see abandonment in the checkout flow if they can't pay with their preferred payment method. So understanding what your payment strategy is going to drive a lot of all right, should I use this gateway or that gateway? Which gateway offers the payment methods I want? And then if you're operating globally, there's different payment gateways that work in different regions better. Some provide local entity and merchant of record support, so they can really help reduce those cross-border sort of transaction fees, help you with compliance and those sorts of things. So understanding where you're doing business will drive your payment gateway and processor strategy. And a lot of our larger customers that are operating at scale actually adopt a multi-gateway strategy. So they have gateways they use for processing payments for their European subscribers. They have a different gateway partnership for LATAM and a different one for US. So there's a lot to consider there, and we're here to help you with that if you got follow-up questions.
Hopefully that'll open up maybe the EU or someone is gonna force them to open the billing a bit. We've got another question here. I think that happened in Japan, didn't it? We've got Dan Blackie has got a good question saying, have you found any successful tactics to convert users into subscribers when they don't subscribe after the trial or not accepting the trial at all? Thanks.
Yeah, so I think I don't have the specific number in my head, but when you offer a free trial, it is really important to collect the billing information at the time you're offering the free trial. We've seen much higher conversion rates on free trials if you ask for the billing information at that time, because it's way harder to go ask for the billing information after the free trial ends, right? There's more friction, there's another outreach you need to make. So while they're in session and with you and engaged in with you, collect that billing information, and that's really going to help you convert those free trials into paid. For folks that aren't converting, it is ensuring that you're listening to the webhook triggers or whatever the lifecycle events when a free trial ends. You should be monitoring that and then reaching out to the customer through a marketing campaign, hey, we noticed your free trial expired. Maybe offer them a promotion or discount, at minimum a survey, what about our services didn't you not like, so you can actually learn if they're not going to resubscribe. So it's really making sure you've got the right instrumentation in place to see this subscriber, their free trial just expired, they're not converting, great, let's go trigger a win-back campaign to that subscriber.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sam. Good question. So we talked a bit about pricing, tiering. What about duration? Is the best option to go monthly or yearly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, this is a cop-out answer, but it's all about testing, understanding what works for your customers. I would say, by and large, most of our customers are selling at least a monthly plan and an annual plan, and the annual plans are great, again, for rewarding loyalty, right? So sign up for us for a year, we'll give you a discount, and you can drive a lot more conversion that way with the loyalty program like that. And then for folks who find that too expensive, then a monthly plan is a really nice option, as well. So it depends on your products and services too. So if you've got like a monthly sort of like box of the month thing, then clearly a monthly plan would make sense, because you feel more like, hey, I'm paying as I'm going here. I'm not necessarily paying up front and not necessarily understanding what value I'm going to get over the next year. So it varies a lot, again, on the products and services you're providing. And so then again, I would just encourage you to test different durations, different prices on those durations, and see what works.
Great. And we're pretty much coming to the end of the question. Any last questions, drop them in. I've got a couple more. One would be, when you see a lot of different companies coming to you and working with you, what are the sort of key success factors you see? So what really sets apart the companies or apps that succeed versus the ones that don't? If you see any patterns there, what do they have in place? Or
that is a good question. I would say, they've got, this is outside of like subscriptions, but if they've got a strong product and service, then naturally they're going to see a lot of success in their subscriptions. So, in short, you've got like products and services that your consumers really, really want, and continue to innovate and evolve the product based on your consumer preferences. I'm a product manager, so of course I'm going to say things like that. I think that sets them apart. When they're adopting subscription programs, I think having a good sort of like understanding cross-functionally, like what this means organizationally, because there's a lot of people involved now, right? You've got finance involved now from a revenue recognition standpoint. You've got product managers involved for like delivering different plans and services. You've got engineers and CTOs involved in like, well, how are we going to implement this recurring sort of like solution? So folks that are very, honest and with themselves on what they're about to undertake, I think are very successful as well, and willing to invest and make sure it's set up for success is really important. And then thirdly, I think it's going back to the analytics and ensuring that you are got the right instrumentation in place, got the right sort of like marketing automation sorts of solutions in place to drive that engagement and learn what's working and what's not working, and continue to iterate your plans and your offerings accordingly.
Great. Okay. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. So we've got a big green button here. We might actually turn this into a podcast, I think, because there's probably work quite well as audio. So if you're listening to this later on a podcast, then sorry, but there's a big button here saying how to scale subscriptions. I think we've got some assets there. We had as well, I dropped in the state of subscriptions report there. And I guess what sort of other next steps are there, Neeraj?
Yeah, I think if you're interested in understanding more about subscriptions and what works and what doesn't work, as we've said, I think downloading our state of subscriptions reports are going to be really, really helpful. There's a lot of stats and data in there on promotions and payment preferences and loyalty and all those sorts of things, and what's working, what's not working. So I encourage you guys to download that as a next step. And then secondly, think about like, are subscriptions going to be your thing in your business? And are you going to transform your business into a subscription business? And if so, then like think deeply about what that really means for you all. It might start with just a test in Apple or Google or on the web. But no, like once you want to do it at scale, there's a lot of like things to consider, and it may be time to consider one of those, purpose-built sort of like subscription tools to help you with that transition as you transform your business from one-time purchases to a recurring model.
Right. Okay, we're going to have a bonus question. When moving from a free app to a paid subscription, how can you avoid users feeling cheated or because they have to pay? Yeah, people like things for free in this world, and can get very upset the minute you ask them to pay for something.
Yeah, I think it's being upfront and honest and transparent when you're offering the free trial. So you get a 30-day free trial, or 7 days is what you should be offering. Here's a 7-day free trial, but on day 8, here's the price you're going to pay. So there's no sticker shock. They know what they're getting into when they subscribe. So I think being honest and transparent so they don't feel cheated. And then being honest with yourself on the products and services you're providing. Maybe in your freemium model, you're not providing enough value for them to convert or enough value for them to feel comfortable paying for. And that could also drive churn as well. So ensure you're offering the right features and functionality. You're not making it too narrow and focused during your free trial so that when they are asked to pay, they're like, oh yeah, there was a lot of value here. I'm happy to pay.
Okay, well, thanks, Niraj. We're at the 45 minutes now, so thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks so much, Niraj, for sharing all that knowledge. Maybe we'll see you in person at one of our events next year. I think we're in New York in June, I think it's 27th, and San Francisco, September 26th. Who knows, maybe we'll see you there. And thanks for sharing that today. And thanks everyone for your questions.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone for attending.
Bye.